First Contact's Price. High Admiral Kara Xenthar of the Galaxian Empire stood on the command deck of her flagship, the Eternal Dawn, her silver-scaled hands clasped behind her back as she studied the holographic projection of a small blue planet. The planet's primitive satellites cluttered its orbit like space debris, and occasional radio signals leaked into space, signs of a civilization barely beyond its cradle. Another backwater world, she muttered, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with mild disappointment. The Empire had tasked her with expanding their territory in this sector, but so far, she'd found nothing worthy of their attention. High Admiral, her second-in-command, Commander Vex, approached with urgency in his step. Our deep scans have detected something unusual about this world. Unusual. Kara's head crest lifted slightly with interest. Elaborate. The natives, they call themselves humans, have achieved nuclear fission, basic spaceflight, and global communications. But Vex hesitated, his own markings flickering with confusion. Their technological progression is highly irregular. Kara turned away from the hologram. Irregular how? They developed quantum computing before achieving reliable fusion power. They have primitive chemical rockets, yet their material science is remarkably advanced. It's as if Vex struggled to find the words, as if they're deliberately maintaining a facade of technological inequality. Kara's eyes narrowed. In 15 cycles of service to the Empire, she'd never heard of such a thing. Show me their military capabilities. The hologram shifted, displaying Earth's known military assets. Primitive jet aircraft, naval vessels confined to the planet's oceans, and ground forces that still relied on chemical projectile weapons. Yet something about the presentation nagged at her tactical instincts. Launch a probe, she ordered. Full spectrum analysis. I want to know what these humans are hiding. The probe descended through Earth's atmosphere, its advanced stealth systems making it virtually undetectable to the primitive radar systems it detected. As it began its scan, something unexpected happened. The probe's sensors detected a massive energy spike from the dark side of Earth's moon, followed by complete signal loss. High Admiral, Vex called out, his markings now pulsing with alarm. The probe. It's been destroyed. Before Kara could respond, the ship's sensors began registering multiple anomalies. Space itself seemed to ripple as massive structures appeared in high Earth orbit, structures that hadn't been there moments before. The hologram updated to show massive vessels emerging from what appeared to be some kind of phase-shifted space. Impossible, Kara breathed. Where there had been nothing but primitive satellites moments before, now hung a fleet of warships that rivaled anything in the Imperial Navy. Their design was alien, angular, and predatory, with technology that somehow managed to appear both familiar and utterly foreign. High Admiral, a communications officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface." "Put it through," Kara ordered, her voice steady despite the growing unease in her gut. A human appeared on the main view screen, female, by their dimorphic characteristics, wearing what appeared to be a formal military uniform. "This is Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force." The human spoke, her voice translated perfectly into Imperial Standard. "You are currently in restricted space. The probe you launched was destroyed as per our first contact protocols. Any further unauthorized entries into Earth-controlled space will be considered acts of aggression and dealt with accordingly." Kara's mind raced. The humans had not only detected and destroyed their probe, but had maintained a perfectly concealed fleet of advanced warships. The implications were staggering. "I am High Admiral Kara Xenthar of the Galaxian Empire," she responded, drawing herself up to her full height. "Your deception was necessary," Admiral Chen interrupted. "Humanity has been aware of the galaxy's political landscape for centuries, High Admiral. We chose to remain hidden to prepare. Your empire's history of conquest is well documented." The human's words struck Kara like a physical blow. They had known. All this time, they had known and prepared. "You should know," Chen continued, that what you see is only a fraction of Earth's defensive capabilities. We strongly suggest you report back to your superiors that this sector is not suitable for Imperial expansion." As if to emphasize the point, more ships began appearing, smaller vessels emerging from the larger carriers, taking up defensive formations with practiced precision. Their energy signatures were unlike anything Kara had ever seen, suggesting weapons technology that might well surpass Imperial standards. The human admiral's expression softened slightly. "Or, High Admiral, you could choose to open diplomatic channels. The choice is yours, but choose carefully. Humanity has spent generations preparing for this moment, and we will not submit." Kara felt the weight of history pressing down upon her. In all the Empire's expansionist history, they had never encountered a species that had hidden their true capabilities so successfully or prepared so thoroughly for first contact. The tactical implications were clear. Any attempt at conquest would be met with a level of resistance the Empire had never faced. "You will hear from us again," Kara said finally, her markings pulsing with a complex mixture of emotions. As the Eternal Dawn began its withdrawal, Kara watched the human fleet on her screens. They maintained perfect formation, their ships moving with a precision that spoke of long practice and absolute readiness. She had come expecting to find primitives ready for conquest. Instead, she had found something far more dangerous, a species that had spent generations preparing for war while pretending to be harmless. The Empire would have to reevaluate its entire expansion strategy, and Kara had a feeling that humanity had just changed the galaxy's balance of power forever. "Plot a course back to Imperial space," she ordered, "and prepare a priority message for the Imperial Council. They need to know. Everything has changed." Operation Starshield. The Imperial Council chamber fell into stunned silence as High Admiral Kara Xenthar's report concluded. The massive crystalline dome above them reflected the red light of their binary stars, casting twin shadows across the gathered council members' scaled faces. Supreme Commander Vostal, his age evident in the faded patterns of his bioluminescent markings, broke the silence. "You expect us to believe that these humans have managed to hide their true technological capabilities for centuries. The evidence is undeniable," Kara responded, her own markings pulsing with conviction. "Their deception was perfect. While we watched their primitive broadcasts and analyzed their visible technology, they were building something far more sophisticated beneath the surface." Before the council could respond, emergency alerts flashed across every screen in the chamber. A junior officer burst through the doors, his markings flaring with panic. Multiple anomalies detected across Imperial space, unknown vessels appearing through what appears to be artificial subspace ruptures. The main holographic display activated, showing tactical readouts from across the Empire. Hundreds of human vessels were emerging from what the Empire's best scientists would later term quantum fold space, a technology that shouldn't have been possible according to known physics. In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen watched the operation unfold with steady eyes. Holographic displays showed human vessels appearing simultaneously at key points throughout Galaxian space, not to attack, but to demonstrate that they could. "Operation Starshield is proceeding as planned," her tactical officer reported. "All fleet elements report successful emergence. The Galaxians are responding exactly as predicted." Chen nodded. Humanity's anthropologists and behavioral scientists had spent decades studying the Empire through covert observation. They knew the Galaxians respected strength above all else. Sometimes the best way to avoid a war was to demonstrate that fighting one would be too costly. "Launch Phase 2, she ordered. Across Galaxian space, the human vessels began their carefully choreographed demonstration. They moved in impossible ways, their quantum drives allowing them to shift between points in space without crossing the distance between them. Their energy signatures fluctuated in ways that suggested weapons capabilities far beyond anything the Empire possessed. But they didn't fire a single shot. They didn't have to. In the council chamber, The tactical displays told a story that sent shivers through even the most hardened Imperial commanders. The humans had just demonstrated that they could strike anywhere in the Empire, at any time, and there would be no way to stop them. High Admiral, Supreme Commander Vostel's voice had lost its earlier skepticism. Your recommendations? Kara stepped forward, her markings now pulsing with the formal patterns of official council. The humans have demonstrated both overwhelming capability and remarkable restraint. They could have launched a preemptive strike against our military installations. Instead, they chose to show us their strength while offering diplomatic alternatives. She gestured to the tactical display, where the human vessels maintained their positions with impossible precision. I recommend immediate diplomatic contact, not as conquerors or the conquered, but as equals. In her command center on Earth, Admiral Chen watched the Galaxian responses with satisfaction. Their ships were moving into defensive positions, but not attacking. Their communications channels were filling with diplomatic signals rather than military orders. Message from Galaxian High Command, her communications officer reported. They're requesting a formal diplomatic conference, location to be mutually agreed upon. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The operation had worked perfectly. Humanity had spent centuries preparing not just for war, but for peace. They had hidden their true capabilities not out of fear, but to choose the perfect moment for revelation, when they could demonstrate their strength in a way that would command respect without requiring violence. Send our acceptance, she ordered, and notify the diplomatic corps to begin preparations. Suggest the neutral space station we constructed in the Proxima system for the meeting location. The station had been built decades ago, waiting for this exact moment. Like everything else humanity had done, it was part of a plan centuries in the making. Admiral, her XO spoke up, the Galaxian civilian channels are lighting up. Their people are starting to realize what this means, that they're not alone at the top of the galactic hierarchy anymore. Good, Chen replied. That's exactly what we wanted. Sometimes the best way to change an empire isn't to destroy it, but to show it a better path. In the Imperial Council chamber, Kara watched as the humans' vessels began to withdraw, vanishing back into their impossible quantum fold space as precisely as they had appeared. They had made their point without firing a shot, demonstrated their power without destroying a single ship. The galaxy just changed, she said quietly to Commander Vex, who stood beside her. And I don't think it will ever be the same. Vex's markings pulsed with agreement. Perhaps, he suggested, that's exactly what the galaxy needed. As the council began urgent discussions about the upcoming diplomatic conference, Kara couldn't help but wonder what other surprises humanity had in store. They had hidden their true nature for centuries, preparing for this moment. Now that the moment had come, they had chosen to use their power not for conquest, but for change. The Empire had always believed that strength came from combat and conquest. But perhaps these humans would teach them that true strength could come from knowing when not to fight, and having the power to make that choice. The Empire strikes deep. The Proxima diplomatic station hung in space like a jewel, its crystalline structures reflecting the light of the nearby star. Inside, the peace conference between humanity and the Galaxian Empire had been proceeding for 3 standard weeks. But not everyone wanted peace. Deep within the Imperial core worlds, War Prince Nexar watched the diplomatic feeds with growing disgust, his bioluminescent markings pulsing with barely contained rage. Around him, in a secret chamber that even the Imperial Council didn't know existed, gathered the leaders of the Empire's most militant factions. They speak of peace, Nexar spat, his scaled fingers clenching into fists. While these humans make our empire look weak, they hide their capabilities for centuries, then demand we treat them as equals. The assembled leaders, admirals, generals, and planetary governors who believed in Galaxian supremacy, murmured in agreement. On the screens before them, human and Galaxian diplomats discussed trade agreements and technological exchange protocols. We have identified their weakness, Nexar continued, activating a holographic display. The human's quantum fold technology requires massive energy networks. Networks we've mapped during these peaceful negotiations. His markings pulsed with predatory satisfaction. One coordinated strike, using our new resonance weapons, could disable their entire defense grid. In her office on Earth, Admiral Chen frowned at the data scrolling across her screens. Something wasn't right. The quantum fold space sensors were picking up unusual fluctuations, tiny disturbances that shouldn't exist. "Get me Dr. Patel at Quantum Defense," she ordered. The scientist's worried face appeared almost instantly on her screen. "You're seeing it too?" Dr. Patel asked without preamble. "The microsecond delays in the quantum field. Is it natural?" "No." Patel's expression was grim. "Someone's probing our network. Very subtly, very carefully. If we hadn't upgraded our quantum sensors last month, we wouldn't have detected it." Chen's mind raced. The official Galaxian delegation was still at Proxima Station, seemingly negotiating in good faith. But the Empire was vast, with factions and powers that even their own council might not fully control. "How vulnerable are we?" she asked. "To conventional attacks?" "Not at all. But they're not looking for conventional weaknesses." Patel manipulated something off-screen, and a complex diagram appeared. "They're studying the quantum field itself, if they've developed resonance weapons." Chen didn't need him to finish. Humanity had theorized about such weapons, devices that could disrupt the quantum fields that their advanced technology relied on. They'd developed countermeasures, of course, but they were untested against actual weapons. On the Imperial warship Destiny's claim, War Prince Nexar gave the order. Across the Empire's territory, hidden weapons platforms activated, sending carefully calibrated energy pulses into the quantum field itself. The effect was immediate. Quantum fold space fluctuated wildly. Human ships across the galaxy reported drive instabilities. Emergency systems activated, forcing vessels to drop back into normal space. But Nexar's triumph was short-lived. In orbit around Earth, massive structures that had remained phase-shifted and hidden began to appear. Quantum field stabilizers, built centuries ago as a failsafe against exactly this type of attack. The humans had prepared for even this contingency. Admiral Chen's voice echoed across all frequencies, in both human and Galaxian frequencies. "Attention all forces. Initiation of Protocol Omega authorized." Across human space, secondary systems activated. Ships that seemed crippled by the quantum field disruption suddenly switched to their backup drives, technology that didn't rely on quantum fields at all. The vessels that emerged were different, more angular, bristling with weapons that operated on principles the Galaxians had never seen. In the Imperial Council chamber, High Admiral Kara burst in, her markings flashing with urgency. "The humans, they're using gravitic propulsion. Weapons based on dark energy manipulation. They didn't just have one advanced technology. They developed multiple parallel technologies." On the Destiny's claim, War Prince Nexar watched in horror as his perfect plan unraveled. The humans hadn't just prepared for an attack on their quantum technology. They had entire backup systems using completely different scientific principles. "Impossible," he whispered, his markings fading to the dull gray of despair. No civilization could develop multiple advanced technology paths simultaneously. But humanity had done exactly that. Over centuries of preparation, they had pursued multiple avenues of scientific advancement, knowing that any single technology, no matter how advanced, could be vulnerable. At Proxima Station, the human diplomatic team calmly addressed the official Galaxian delegation. "We understand this attack wasn't sanctioned by the Imperial Council," the lead diplomat said. "We're prepared to continue negotiations after the rogue elements responsible have been dealt with." The Galaxian diplomats, their markings pulsing with a mixture of shame and awe, could only agree. Their militant factions had just learned the hard way that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their paranoid level of preparation, their willingness to imagine and prepare for every possible scenario. Admiral Chen watched from Earth as the crisis resolved itself. The rogue Calaxian forces, their one trump card proven worthless, had no choice but to stand down. The Imperial Council, faced with proof of humanity's multiple layers of technological advancement, was more eager than ever to pursue peaceful relations. "Send word to the deep research facilities," she ordered. "They can begin work on the next generation of defensive systems." She allowed herself a small smile. After all, there might be other threats out there that we haven't met yet. Humanity had survived its first real challenge in the galactic community not through superior firepower, but through preparation, redundancy, and the simple fact that they had never trusted their survival to any single advantage. The galaxy was learning that humans weren't just powerful, they were paranoid, thorough, and impossible to catch completely off guard. In the darkness of space, the quantum field stabilized, and humanity's ships shifted seamlessly back to their primary systems. But the backup technologies remained ready, a reminder that when it came to survival, humanity believed in having as many options as possible. Turning point. The captured Destiny's claim hung in Earth orbit, its once proud hull now surrounded by human monitoring stations. War Prince Nexer sat in a holding cell, his bioluminescent markings dim with defeat, as High Admiral Kara Xenthar entered alongside Admiral Chen. "The Imperial Council has reviewed the evidence," Kara announced, her own markings pulsing with formal patterns. "Your actions were unsanctioned and could have sparked an interstellar war. You'll be returned to Imperial space to face judgment." But Chen held up a hand. "Actually, we have a different proposal." In the weeks following the failed attack on human quantum systems, something unexpected had happened. The revelation of humanity's multiple technological paths had sparked intense interest among Calaxian scientists and engineers. They had never considered pursuing parallel development of different technologies, always focusing on optimizing their existing systems. "We're offering an exchange program," Chen explained. "Your technical expertise for access to some of our research methodology, not the technologies themselves, but the way we approach problem solving." Nexer's markings flickered with confusion. "You would share your secrets with the very person who tried to destroy you." "Not secrets," Chen corrected. "Principles. The same ones that led us to develop multiple technological paths. The same ones that made us hide our capabilities while preparing for any possibility." In the Imperial capital, the council chamber was abuzz with activity. Screens displayed data from across the Empire, reports of increasing unrest, but not the kind they were used to dealing with. Citizens were questioning traditional Imperial approaches to everything from technology to governance. Supreme Commander Vostal addressed the council, his age markings pulsing steadily. "The humans have changed more than the balance of power. They've changed how our people think. The idea of pursuing multiple solutions, of preparing for all possibilities. It's spreading. On Earth, in a secure facility deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Calaxian scientists worked alongside human researchers. They weren't sharing specific technologies, but something more valuable: methodologies, approaches to problem solving that the Empire had never considered. Dr. Patel watched as a young Calaxian researcher made a breakthrough in quantum field theory. "It's remarkable," he told Admiral Chen during her inspection. "They're not just learning our technologies, they're learning to think differently, to question assumptions, to prepare for possibilities they'd never considered before." But not everything was proceeding smoothly. Reports came in of militant factions in both societies becoming increasingly agitated. Some humans feared sharing any knowledge with a recent adversary. Some Calaxians saw any change to their traditional ways as a threat to their very identity. In orbit around Mars, a joint human Calaxian research station became the flashpoint. A group of hardliners from both species attempted to seize control, hoping to prevent further cooperation. What they didn't expect was how the station's crew, human and Calaxian alike, worked together to thwart them. "They adapted our security protocols to work with Calaxian bioluminescence signaling," Chen marveled, reading the report. "Created a hybrid system neither side could have devised alone." High Admiral Kara, now serving as the Imperial liaison to Earth, studied the station's footage. "They're thinking like humans," she observed. "Always preparing, always looking for new approaches. But they're doing it with Calaxian thoroughness and attention to detail." The implications were staggering. The two species weren't just sharing knowledge. They were beginning to adopt each other's strengths. Humans were learning from the Calaxians' structured approach to hierarchy and organization, while the Calaxians were adopting humanity's innovative thinking and redundancy planning. In his research facility, War Prince Nexar had undergone his own transformation. His markings, once dim with defeat, now pulsed with the complex patterns of deep thought as he worked with human scientists. He had tried to destroy humanity's quantum network, but in failing, he had discovered something far more valuable: a new way of thinking about problems. "We always sought the perfect solution," he explained to a visiting Imperial delegation. "Humans taught me that the perfect solution is to have multiple solutions ready." The changes weren't limited to technology and research. Imperial diplomatic corps began adopting human-style contingency planning. Human military strategists incorporated Calaxian organizational principles into their command structures. What had started as a potential war was becoming something unprecedented, a genuine synthesis of two very different approaches to civilization. Admiral Chen stood in her office, watching Earth's sunset paint the sky in colors that now reminded her of Calaxian bioluminescence. A report sat on her desk, a proposal for a joint human-Calaxian expedition to explore unknown regions of the galaxy. "We did more than avoid a war," she told High Admiral Kara, who stood beside her. "We might have just changed both our civilizations for the better." Kara's markings pulsed in agreement. "The real question is, what do we do with this change?" Chen smiled. "What humans always do, prepare for every possibility. But now we can do it together." In deep space, the first joint patrol of human and Calaxian ships moved in perfect formation, their crews working together with increasing efficiency. They were no longer potential enemies learning to coexist. They were becoming partners, each making the other stronger. The galaxy was changing, faster than anyone had expected. And for once, neither humanity nor the Empire was trying to control that change. They were learning to guide it together, preparing for whatever might come next.